This breaker has got me baffled. It was fine for more than a week. Then the night before last it actually tripped out twice overnight. Then last night I checked it probably actually it was just before 6 this morning I checked this and it hadn't tripped, but between then and 9 it must have tripped. So I'll switch it back now, won't go clunk, but if it's before 9 AM this would have gone clunk and switched it back to PLN supply, but yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on there. I'm over here to do my usual Sunday routine of draining the pressure accumulator over here at the shed, but I was actually over here before breakfast this morning because I'd been told last night that the pump hadn't been working for the last 2 days. Nobody thought to tell me. I came over and replaced this guy and all was well. These guys tend to burn out apparently. So I put in a spare. I have one more spare sitting there, and I've actually ordered a few more because they turned out to be a consumable. Don't know why. Anyway, I'll turn this off and do my usual draining of the accumulator. Well, I've just come over and done my Sunday ritual on this stuff, so I've topped up the fuel on the gen set. I see now it's at 86 hours and 40 minutes of run time. I've drained the pressure accumulator. All I got to do now is turn back on the switch here. So the setup here is that this timer turns the power on to this switch at 6 AM and turns it off at 6 PM. This switch, if it's turned on, feeds power to the other side to it, well, not to the other side here, but provides power input to the rail that feeds this relay or countdown timer relay and the UV sterilizer power supply. After this countdown timer has counted down, it then applies power to this contactor, which will then give power to the pump. The alternate way of doing this is this switch over here will do the same thing as the timer. This will just turn it on as an override. But in this case, we turn back on the normal one, and after this countdown timer is counted down, it will activate the pump. And over here we have a air bleed for the filter system here, and that tends to leak unless it's got proper pressure on it. So if I blow it, sort of empties out that well there. So now the pump is running. And when we get enough, so it's filling up again slowly. And when we get enough pressure up, that actually seals properly. Okay, so now it's sealed. So I can close the lid here and lock up and carry on. Well, is it not closing properly? Okay, that's closed. Right. I unlocked the scooter cage gate that would lower the chicken barrier, so I could roll the trolley with the fuel drum over it. So I can lock that up again now. I would have worked on this stuff some more, but I'm already hot and sweaty, and I didn't even set foot outside of the house yesterday, so this has had a few days with nothing happening. So here you can see it's I can get the reflections out of the view. So indoor 31.6, 71% humidity. Yeah, I think it's not unreasonable to feel sticky. And this thing here is the start of a whole different sequence of events. I want to take that inside sometime and hit that with the, well, maybe do it outside, hit that with the rust treatment to clear up all the rust off that cover, then hit it with the anti-rust metal primer, and then with the anti-rust metal top coat. Once that's all done, then we're going to dig the chain out. I think it must be somewhere behind this stuff, but there is a chain which goes on these sprockets over here. Want to get that chain put back on, and then use some of the oil we've drained out of the old genset previously, and get it coated in oil so it doesn't quite rust like that, and put that cover back on. Once we've done that, we've sort of met my precursor requirements for getting the compact track loader in there working again. So we need to get some Indotara technicians here to replace maybe the key switch, maybe the relay that feeds, because with a fully charged battery it does nothing. So once we've got that operational again, then we can pick these things up and move them away from here. My thought was to move them down perhaps to the other end of this slab here, unless we find somewhere better, maybe actually out in that barren area beyond the slab, because I want to use this area here for our first go at aquaponics. Seems like a reasonable area. Might get a bit of fallout damage from coconuts, so we're going to make sure we're away from that for anything fragile. But yeah, I've got a pipe up here coming out of the valve. That's there to feed off to the aquaponics system when we get that set up. But to get the aquaponics system going, it'll be a trip to Jakarta. I want to go to Jakarta to look at a couple of furniture stores, to look at lift recliners, because my recliner is not the easiest thing to get out of. So I'm thinking, yeah, I might prepare now for when I can't get out of it. And this side of Jakarta in Tangerang, there's a company called Jiri Farm, who, from what I can see online, do all the aquaponics and hydroponics and aquaculture stuff you'd want. So that would let us buy basically a starter kit and learn the business, learn what's required, how to make it work, how not to kill the fish, and then using that, then we can look at building a bigger system. I'd build a bigger system rather than just extend the first one, on the basis that I'd kind of like to have the bio-isolation of the separate systems, so that if you get disease in one you don't get it in the other. But yeah, that's what I got in mind. If it's not one thing failing here, it's another. Yesterday we had this code come up on the Fisher & Paykel washing machine. That is actually a binary code, translates as 43. Out of balance sensor is stuffed. So I need to go and start working on seeing whether I can resolve the problem, or need to order parts, which will no doubt have to come from Australia, because they won't be available here. Wish me luck. It's already Wednesday and I don't feel like I've achieved a lot this week. I did have a look at the washing machine and figured out that yeah, it's beyond me, and ordered part from a big warehouse spares in Australia, so that'll be a month or two getting here. I was going to go across to the shed yesterday and work on that little bit of woodworking I was going to do, and I thought I'll just check the weather station before I go, and it said 34 degrees, feel like 47, so I reconsidered immediately. It's not quite that bad at the moment, so I'll see how long I last. Well, that's it. I've cut the back and front pieces to size and cleaned up the edges of them so they're all straight. I've yet to cut the side pieces, but I've reached maximum duration, so it's back to the AC. And when I say I reach maximum duration, that is the puddle of sweat on the floor next to the vise where I was using the planer on the edges of these things. So yeah, I rain sweat around here. Well, it's Thursday now. We didn't get much rain yesterday, I think about 0.3 of a millimetre, but we've had 65 millimetres before dawn this morning, so it'll be muggy again. I think it's about 30 degrees at the moment. It's only just going 10 AM, so I'll see how long. Well, I hit overheat a while ago, but I've got all the bits cut and drilled, apart from the 2 support holes in the back piece at this stage, but I need to do a lot of sanding and refining before I start assembly, and that might take longer than anything really. Yeah, but that's where I'm going to leave it for now, because I am dripping sweat again. Well, it's afternoon the same day, and I'm going to venture across to the shed. You hear the still driving piles at the toll road. Weather looks like it's going to get wet possibly, but meanwhile it's over 30, so we'll see how we go over at the shed. Well, I got 2 sets sanded and glued up. Carry on tomorrow, I guess. So you won't see these finished before I do an upload. Yeah, I wonder how long they keep driving piles for. It's been going on for months. Maybe it'll go on for months more. I think if you were living in a house close to it, you'd be looking to keep the glassware taped down to the shelves before it, well, make sure it didn't rattle off. Grass is growing, grass. Well, technically rice is a type of grass, but yeah, growing well. In this tropical heat and humidity, things just leap out of the ground. And the creek is well up. Illustration of how things grow around here. There's Danang's garden with the corn leaping at the top. Now this path wasn't here a year ago, and these jackfruit to my left were not planted before this path went in. They have fruit. So these would be less than a year old, and they are fruiting. It's amazing, and you really can't see through the thicket of plants now across Danang's garden. So that's jackfruit. These are papaya, so I wonder how long before they fruit. Certainly the passion fruit is going crazy. Well, it's Friday again, but I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of the woodworking done before I have to retreat and do a video. Well, I got the last 2 cleaned up and assembled, and I brought the first 2 across here. I was going to use my drill press here and tiny little drill bit, this guy, 2 millimeters, but with this thing fully tightened down, yeah, that doesn't work. So I thought to go and get my handheld drill. Of course it wasn't in the cupboard, so I hunted that down and got it back from the person who'd borrowed it and hadn't returned it, and brought that back here and discovered that it doesn't go as small as this one does. So my only option now is to use a pin vise and drill the holes using a handheld pin vise. Not looking forward to that. So there mightn't be as many holes as there was going to be. I still have one more option. I do actually have a separate chuck somewhere for a plugging into an SDS type drill. If I can find that, I will try putting that in the drill press, because the shaft of that will be held okay. So wish me luck. I didn't find the SDS drill chuck, but I did find this right angle thingy, which I've never used. That was another Aldi purchase, and that has a fine enough chuck on it that if I set up the other handheld drill on that, I can then drill the holes. But I've reached the stage of overheat, so it's time to retreat to the lounge room and prepare this video for upload. Yeah, come back again tomorrow and have another go. I might be able to drill all four and put the brads in them for reinforcement. I think might be more gluing required yet. There's some gaps where there shouldn't be. Then it's sanding and painting. So yeah, there's a way to go yet. But that'll do for today. Actually, depending on how hot it is, I might come back in the afternoon. We'll see how I go.